Welcome back, guys, to another episode with Just Vanning It. To start off with, we're just going to share some memories where our 79 Land Cruiser took us.
Proudly brought to you by ICHECK TPMS.
Okay, this is a sad day. It's basically happened. My or Suna and Bobby's beloved 79 Land Cruiser has been sold to an awesome family. Zach, say good day.
Hey, how's going? It's a sad day.
This is Living Kids. If you want to carry on following our cruiser, they travel as well. And Zach is jumping in now. We're just outside Adelaide. And he's driving all the way back to Margaretville.
We're going back to WA.
Yeah,
so.
it's going back across the Nullarbor.
Yep.
Where his family are waiting patiently for him and the car. And then they'll be hitting the road with it, towing their van. And yeah, so it's a bit of a sad day. But there she is, all cleaned up. Zach's happy with it. You will be happy with it.
Yep.
It's done us proud. But it's time to, for myself and Sue to move on. There she is. It's a sad day, but good things to come. Yeah, here we go. This is it. Oh, we got a bit of traffic going on here. Oh, just nick in front of this one. Spares are in the glove box for you, mate.
Oh, the spare one?
Yeah, the spares. The remote for the boats inside the centre. There's a remote for this. And like I said, if we forgot anything, mate, I'll just...
Yep, I'll be in contact. Ring you if I have any questions.
Mate, beautiful.
Aye, Captain.
See you, mate. Safe travels with the old girl. Right, here we go. We are now carless. Oh, shivers. Gotta go shopping. See you guys, safe travels, man. There she goes. Alright guys, as you can see, we've had a lot of fun with our cruiser. A lot of memories were made in that cruiser. And it is quite sad when you sort of, I feel at least, when we do this sort of thing, that changing cars or vans, you sort of let memories go. But you know, what do they say, sort of one door closes, another door opens. Now, selling the cruiser is it was a very big regretful sale, at least on my part. I mean, we've spent a fair bit of money on that cruiser, but there's just one thing that the cruiser couldn't do. Now, don't quote me, you know, my research has sort of led us to this decision, and the biggest thing with the cruiser was the tow capacity of it. Now, I know that you can chop it and do those extensions to upgrade the tow capacity of the vehicle, but doing it pre-rego is sort of where you want to actually do it, and that's where we were kind of stuck with our cruiser. Also, the cruiser had done 170,000 Ks by the time Zach picked the car up, so you're sort of at a stage where, do you want to spend that extra money if we could get it done after rego? Now, I believe that if you do it after Rego, it's governed to that state or something like that. But when you do something pre-Rego, it's a statewide modification. We absolutely loved our cruiser, and the canopy, the mode canopy that we put on was a massive, massive weight save. Like that is the thing with the mode canopy, and we will stand by it because I've done it, and it, you know, it withheld up what we did for the last sort of 6 months with it. It had the boat on the roof. It was just so spacious inside.
Completely dust-free. And I think it saved us, what?
About 350 kgs of weight on your GVM and your GCM.
Which is incredible.
That's not the reason why we sold the car. Like, it's, we had this conversation with people, and it was the tow capacity of our car. Now, why? So when we got the Zone Caravan, we knew it was quite on the heavy side, and I was very excited. Sometimes you get a little bit lost when you do this, and we've made episodes about this, and well, we fell in that trap, and you sort of get a little bit excited, and you just, and I think I was saying things like, oh, well, I'll make it work, I'll make it work. To be able to tow this van, we only had 1 tank of water for, you know, everybody has different stuff. So with our stuff that we wanted to take in the caravan, there was only room for 1 tank of water to come under the 3.5 ton. And I said to Sue, we'll be all right, we'll be all right, we'll be all right. And we found ourselves in a bit of struggle with 1 tank of water, meaning we could only be off grid for really like 1 or 2 days, to be fair. And I was just like, well, we need to do something about it. I had tuned the cruiser. It was just, I felt that everything was just struggling a little bit in the terms of like the power and the tow capacity of the cruiser.
There are just certain things with our lifestyle that I wanted to take along with us. Like you'll see, we recently got the coffee machine. That's something that I really wanted. Ideally, at some point in the future, we'd love some pushies. You know, those are all things that add to your day-to-day lifestyle. And I think what's important here is if we were just doing a 12-month lap, 6 months, 12 months on the road, it would be absolutely fine. But the reality is that this is how we live. This is our lifestyle. We're not going to be stopping living this way in the next 12 months, 24 months, 36 months. So are we going to sink more money into the cruiser, or are we going to actually just look at a new tow vehicle that'll cover us for the next 3 to 5 years? That's the question.
Yeah, and everyone's travel needs and wants and lifestyle is totally different to the next person, what they want to do, where they want to go, how they want to travel, and what they want to take with them. For us, well, we want to still keep the boat. Now, we did sell the cruiser as a complete package. I offered it as a complete package. The reason being, there were the logistics around the boat, the motor, and everything, that we got everything that we sort of needed to make that a complete package. To get it back to where we may build a new vehicle or something like that, it actually costs quite a bit of money. So I just said, let's just sell it as a complete package, and then hopefully in a few months' time, a bit of savings, we'll get all into that in a bit, but we'll be able to get another boat, because we do love having the boat.
Yeah.
It's just part of us. It's part of what we do. Get you that extra little bit of adventure in, and we've always had a boat.
And this is where you say, like, you can travel in so many different ways. I mean, we've proven it over the years as well. We see lots of setups on the road. You know, it can be just a 4-wheel drive with a rooftop tent. It can be a nice sort of little light van that's quite capable. You can have a normal use tows.
The boats brought such good memories and fun, and that's you know, when we went up to Cape York, it wasn't just us using the boat. Just recently at Rapid Bay, you know, people, mate, if you've got a skipper's ticket, the boat's there to be used, and we did. Someone did take it out. It's
probably our biggest must-have, right?
Yeah, it's just it does bring joy to our travels, and we do get asked a lot about how often do you use it. Well, we try and use it as much as we can.
Yeah.
Like, you know, in South Australia we used it, in WA we used it. Not so much on the East Coast, but who knows? We still don't even know where we're going. But coming down to the crunch, like we say, everyone's wants and needs are different. I think we've always said it's what suits our travel is at least a ute with a canopy.
Yeah.
Now, some people do it in a, don't have the canopy. So you're looking at your patrols and your 200s and your 300s and stuff like that. That's fine. Like, that's just how you want to travel, and there's nothing wrong with it at all. But just for ourselves, we find that the canopy for what we do is better. So So where does that leave us? So we got to cut out
the 200,
300s and the patrols and the Pajeros and all that. That's all sort of now gone to the side. And we're left back in this hole where, you do... So, bear in mind, we want the tow capacity, right? Now, to get that tow capacity, you've got to do a chopped, modified 79, 200, 300, American trucks, and our Suzu trucks. So I think that's sort of... And you can do a chopped patrol as well. I've seen a few of them around. So I don't quite know how much tow capacity that gives you and stuff like that. We're not looking... Because remember, GCM and GVMs are one thing, but tow capacity. Generally, cars coming out of the showroom, taking the truck and the American trucks out of it, is generally a 3.5 ton tow capacity.
Yeah.
And then you got your GVMs and GCMs where, you start adding bull bars and rims and tyres and canopies and side steps and aerials and all this stuff that eats into GVM and then your GCM, and then you can get GVM upgrades and GCM upgrades.
A lot of G's flying around.
Yeah, so we, I can't do an episode on that because it's such a hard episode to pinpoint exactly how that all works, but I'm pretty sure some of you have an idea about how GVM and GCMs work, and then you got your tow capacity on top of it, and when you add the two weights, then you got rear axle weights, front axle weights, ball weights, all of that kind of stuff comes into play. So, hang on, Sue's got it done here. Right, so we've sold the Cruiser, I've gone shopping, and we've started looking around on car sales at the second-hand market. Not so much, didn't have to be a new car, or it could be a second-hand car. And I tell you what, you're quite shocked at how much money you have to sink into some of these cars to get them to sort of where we at least needed them to be. So we looked at the 79, as we loved our 79, and to buy a new one at the... Is it 2.8? I'll try to look up when they were going to get the V8s, and then you sort of around that $100,000 mark now for a 79, and then you start looking at chops and coil conversions and then canopies and rebuilding it up to where we wanted to. And I can tell you now that I don't know, like $250,000 is sort of what you want, and that's no boat yet.
Yeah.
As far as my sort of research went, This is going out and spending our own hard-earned cash. This is not going out looking for to be ambassadors for anyone like that. That's if I went to the market with our money and I said, right, this is what we want. Now, you can go and you can spend $250,000, I suppose. That's new. If you look at the second-hand market, I suppose, depending on mileage, we found those cars around the 50,000 kilometre marks, which is not a lot for a diesel motor, to be fair.
But we need it quite low because we're going to be doing a lot of mileage on the car. So
yeah, in 3 years of owning our 79, we did 100,000 Ks.
Yeah.
And we did, stop Christmas times and stuff like that. So I reckon out of 3 years, we only really travelled 2 years, so 50,000 Ks a year. Now that does add up on the cars, and majority of that, I would say 85 to 90% of that's towing. So you're constantly working these cars, and that's something that we had to consider as well. Yeah, so $250,000 to $300,000 brand new. So then we started looking at the second-hand market. You're lucky to get $220,000, $230,000. Still no boat, let me tell you. For something that's going to do the trick, and that was the tow capacity. And some of the modifications that I've noticed do like a 4-ton tow and a 4495 tow, and then a GVM of 4495, but could only do 8-ton GCM and stuff like that. Not going to dive into too much. You can see sort of where we were going. Now, we don't have an endless bank account either.
Sadly not.
So we were thinking to ourselves, okay, what do we do now? As much as we love the 79 series, comfort.
Yeah.
When you start spending that over the $200,000 mark, you start thinking to yourself after 3 years in the cruiser, and like I said, guys, we're not down in the 70s. Loved it. for where it's taken us and what they're actually capable of doing
It's
is
been an
unreal.
amazing car.
Parking, etc. like that, great. But a little bit of comfort would be nice. Like,
Yeah.
automatic would be a pretty big one.
I did struggle with the Cruiser with the second gear particularly.
Yeah.
And I think that's because I'm so short.
Correct. Yeah, well, that is right. But then again, just take in mind that, you know, it's possibly a 79 to be like a Toyota. The 200s, you'd have to buy second hand. We have had a look. There were a few around that $240,000 mark. That was with the chop and canopy. You must probably buy in a car that's already had most of the stuff done.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know if anyone else, drop a comment in below. But sometimes you might find the car, and you may want to like just tweak it to what your taste would be. Like maybe different rims or tires, or maybe it's not the bull bar that you like or something like that. That's just me. But yes, it would do the trick.
And it is a Toyota. And
Yes.
Toyotas are fantastic cars. Parts are readily available. It's
That is
known
right.
for its quality.
Yeah. So we've now spoken about all of that kind of stuff. So then you move on to things like the NPS truck. Now there's the NPS, the Fuso, I think the Hino. There's a few trucks getting around that have sort of gone down this track. And I tell you what, I was excited to maybe look down that track about a year ago. I started looking, and again, it's sort of, I've spoken to a lot of people. It comes down to comfortability. Also, same thing, you pick up the truck, you've got to do a fair bit to them to make them somewhat comfortable.
It's the parabolic suspension
And the
that's
singles
big issue.
conversion.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with it. I think they're awesome. You can load the bigger boat on them, and I was like,
Loads
oh,
of water.
loads of water possibly, and I was thinking the bigger boat would be nice.
And Sue said no.
And Sue said no, because at the end of the day, Sue needs to drive this as well. Sue's quite short.
Thank you, love.
Yeah, you
Said
will.
quite
Yeah,
short.
quite short. Parking. We sometimes do find ourselves in a city for Sue's work and parking, etc., etc., and like
Just
that.
if I want to go to Coles, love.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now, yes, well, let's talk about them. We move on to the American trucks. Now, I've got to be honest with you. When I started looking, I did like the 1500s. For size, some of them, I think it's like the 1500 Rams. They look, the new TRX, like beautiful looking cars.
And you see a lot of them on the roads now. Like when we're travelling in caravan parks, on the roads, we've seen them up Cape York.
They are getting, well, two 1500 Rams did the old Telegraph track with us. Yes, we didn't do gunshot. None of us did gunshot. Some of the chicken tracks were quite serious compared to what you think a chicken track was. This is a couple of years ago. They went up, no dramas. But then comes down to, again, the tow capacity's there, payload's not there, and the GVM and GCM upgrades on them are sort of like, I think there are some people starting to do it. And then
Again, it's pricey.
yeah, it's pricey. So you start doing all these changes and stuff like that, and it's just, but I'm not going to close that door, like we're talking about it, and we have to look at the pros and cons and our budget. And yeah, so then obviously you move on to 2500s, and I think I'll talk about the 3500s here as well. They are expensive. They are sort of a truck. They're bigger than a ute. They are a big car.
They're not for town driving. Like
No.
if we were sitting, well, I mean, I say they're not for, they could be for town driving if you don't mind the challenges around parking. But if you're going to be living in sort of a city centre, for me, I think absolutely no, because of the logistics of just parking it and moving it around.
Yeah.
But towing capacity wise,
And GVM and GCMs on a 2500, jeez mate, they are up there. I reckon they, possibly could just do the job.
Yeah.
But again, so we've got, and also I'd like to add, we are seeing a lot of these cars on the road now. You can't.
we've seen them at the Gib as well. We've seen them
Yeah.
at WA. We've seen them everywhere.
We're not going to a caravan park now without seeing sort of a American truck there.
But, sorry to interrupt, parts are challenging to get, I believe. I don't know.
Yeah, but what I was saying is that 1500s, 2500s, you're seeing it more and more and more of them. And like Sue's just said, parts can be difficult to resource, but because they're becoming very popular, dealerships are growing. You're starting to get sort of access and more access to parts. Maybe not nowhere near the extent of like Toyota and that, but they are definitely getting up there. So a lot has to be taken in and thought of with pros and cons on our next tow vehicle. And it's a lot of money when you start stepping up and you're wanting that bigger tow capacity. If you're not looking for the bigger tow capacity, you know, and you want to stay around that 3.5 ton, well, then, you know, you don't have to do all of this. But I don't know, we've been 4 years on the road, and, you know,
it's taken us 4 years to get to this point.
Yeah.
We've been doing sort of the 3.5 ton for the last 4 years, so it's not something we've just jumped into and said, oh, this is what we want to do. It's something we've sort of, and again, the big reason is probably because I work and to have a comfortable space. And then when you realize you're going to be doing it for a long time, to have the bits and pieces that really make that a good lifestyle, and you can do what you want to do. So very different to when we set up and what we were aiming for when we set off. And you absolutely don't need it. Like, you absolutely do not need it.
But, you know, with Sue working, we've come a long way. We sort of realizing this is something we would like to try and do a little bit like long term. Maybe possibly down the track look for a little base that we could maybe, we always find that November, December, January the most challenging part of our out of a year for our travel. So you never know, hopefully maybe one day down the track we could possibly get a little block of land somewhere reasonably priced where we can just have some sort of base.
Because it's getting that long now, it would be good to have that little base to go back to. Plus, we've had furniture in storage for over 4 years that is starting to cost a fortune. So it would be a good storage solution. But yeah, anyway, down the line, we're still looking at
that's not something that we're telling about here. But, all right, so we have done a lot of research. We went shopping. We've been on car sales. We've spoken to people. We've looked at all our options. We've had a look at our bank balance. I don't know how many times, and it doesn't matter how many times you look at it, it doesn't increase. If anything, it sort of comes down because, you know, bills come off. So we have purchased a vehicle. Okay guys, so we are getting a lift to go and pick up our new vehicle that is going to get us around the country. Sue's in the back. What do you reckon, dear? Are you excited?
I'm excited. Exciting times, new wheels.
I'm excited, but there's one little hurdle we still got to get over, but we're taking a chance and we're going, and we're going to see if they will give us the car. So let's go and yeah, get our new car. We're here. Oh my goodness, the time has come, baby. Let's go.